Having a horse that stands still makes handling, grooming, and saddling easier. But it's not always easy to teach your horse to stand still because she's a prey animal, and prey animals like to move around. The other thing that can make standing still hard for a horse is anxiety. And so whenever you're teaching your horse to stand still, especially early on, you want to make sure that you're doing it in an environment where she feels safe and comfortable. Don't eat my hat. So I'm going to work with this horse here in her pasture today. And this is a place where she already feels safe and comfortable, so this will be an easier location. So we're going to teach our horse to stand still by reading our body language. And the first step is to teach her to stop when we turn and face her. So that's going to be the first cue, and then we're going to build from there and have our horse standing still. To give our horse the stop cue, first we have to ask her to walk. So I'm going to turn away from her. Oh, she's got a bug. Let her get her bug. Oh, poor girl. I'm going to turn away from her and let her follow me. Okay? And then I'm going to pick a spot to stop her, and I'm going to cue her for the stop just by turning my body toward her so that my shoulders are now at a 45-degree angle to the point of her shoulder. And that is a very natural stop cue that most horses respond to automatically because this is the way that they communicate with one another in the herd. So now that we've asked our horse to stop, she's already standing still. And we're going to build on this, but there's a chance that she might try to walk off right now. So one of the reasons why she might walk off is because she doesn't understand what we want her to do. She doesn't have the self-discipline to do it, or she doesn't have the physical condition to keep her limbs still for that length of time. Another cause for a horse to move is because they're reading your body language, your position, and you've done something, maybe accidentally, that tells her that you want her to move. So if I turn away from her, then she's going to be more likely to follow or to step toward me. Horses are very visual, so they are programmed by their DNA to look for small movements, like the flick of an ear from a herd mate. So we want to make sure that we're being consistent and giving her a steady cue that tells her we want her to stay put. So now that your horse is stopping when you change your body position, we're going to reinforce that cue by taking a couple of steps back. And what we're asking her to do is to understand that when we are facing her, that she is not to move into our space. And for some horses that might be a little bit difficult because they've been taught to be drawn into somebody's body when they're facing them, but we don't want our horses to do that. We want them to understand that when we're facing them, they should stand still. Then there's no confusion as to whether or not they're supposed to stay put. So I'm going to take one step back, and she stayed put, so I'm going to come back in and reward her. She's a good girl. I'm going to take 2 steps back, and she stayed put, so I'm going to come in and reward her again. Now that your horse is understanding not to come towards you when you're facing her, start walking alongside the length of her body. And we're going to make sure that we maintain that same position that we're facing her that tells her to stay put. Hi! It makes it harder when your horse is really friendly and sweet. Good girl. So I'm going to be really careful to keep my chest pointed toward her body because this is the cue that I want to use every day when I'm grooming her, saddling, moving around her, that tells her don't move into my space, stay put. So I'm going to just test her and come down as far as her wither, and if she stands well there, I'm going to come back to my original position. And you always want to return to your original position before your horse tries to move so that she starts to get used to this idea and doesn't learn, oh, when you move down here into this part of her body, she's supposed to step away. So I'm only going to move as far as I know she's going to be comfortable, and then I can keep working my way down farther and farther. And I may touch her or I may not, and let her know sometimes I'm going to walk down here and I'm not going to touch her, or I am going to touch her and she's doing a great job, and I'm going to move back. If she were to move away at that point, I would just come back to her head, give her the hoe and stand still cue, and then try again. Good girl. So now that she's doing well with me walking along this side of her body, I want to be able to go to the other side as well. And I'm going to do that by very carefully making sure that my chest is pointed toward her because she's learned this cue already. And then I can just walk right across the front of her, giving her space. I don't want to crowd her at all. And then I can start to move down the length of her body on this side and work that same process. Again, always returning to my original position here if she starts to move or feel uncomfortable about me walking down the length of her body. So we'll just see how she does here. Good girl. And I'm watching her expression at the same time just to see if she's showing any signs of anxiety or stress, and she is not. She's doing great. Good girl. You're so good. You're so good. Good job. Good. Now that your horse is comfortable when you're walking alongside her and you can switch sides easily, it's time to start adding other activities. So grooming, saddling, picking up feet, all of the things that you would normally do with your horse, you can start doing with her and have her stand still on her own while you're doing it. So make sure that whatever it is that you're doing with her is something that she enjoys and she finds pleasant. I'm having trouble with my rope here. So we want to make sure that she's always staying relaxed and happy to stand still for us, because she's enjoying herself too. This work certainly makes handling easier for you and for your horse. It also helps build your horse's confidence and her trust in you so that you can have an awesome relationship. Thank you, Flora. You did such a good job. Your first time on camera. Don't eat my hat. Such a good girl. Such a good